How do you deal with constructive criticism on the job? Um, that's a really great question. With construction criticism, something I actually appreciate because it helps me grow professionalism. I try to take feedback not so personal because as I know supervisors, they want the best for you. They want you to grow in the company. They're not telling you to improve something because they don't like you. They want you to improve because of the company's what they need from you at that moment. I understand what I can improve, how it helps me perform my job better. For example, earlier in my career in the dental field, I was very focused on making sure I was completing everything quickly and efficiently because that's what I assumed that's what they wanted me to do, right? A supervisor once pointed out to me that although my work was very accurate, sometimes I would move too fast, and when it was time to training employees, I was talking way too fast. I had to slow down. I had to make sure that they understood the situation they were in and making sure all the setups were correct for the doctor. At first, it was very difficult to hear because I was working hard. I would always get praise for my work. So when they came to me and they told me this, for me it was surprising. But after that conversation, I changed my approach. I started asking the employees I was training, did you understand? What do you need from me to support you? How can I support you to maintain this job best for you? It improved the communication. The employees became more confident. Mistakes decreased definitely a lot. I make sure that the employee I was training was not afraid of asking questions while I was training them. That experience taught me that constructive criticism is not meant to discourage you. It is made to make you a better leader. Always listen carefully and making sure that you create an action plan to improve. What have you learned from your mistakes? Well, I have learned a lot of things. One thing I have learned from my mistake is more importantly slowing down and making sure everything is verified before bringing in a patient. So when you're in a dental field, especially in the front office, you're pulled everywhere in all separate directions. Very chaotic, but you have to set your feet to the ground and make sure that every detail that needs to be addressed is addressed at the moment, but with time. I learned very early in my career that verifying the insurances is very, very crucial. Not only that, but relaying the message to the patient, showing empathy on how much they have to pay and why they have to pay. Unfortunately, the issue was caught before treatment began, but it taught me a very important lesson. So the patient had to pay $1,000 for the patient's root canal crown buildup, which is a dental procedure that patients need to be known. I put the patient ready, and then they were about to call him in, and I just looked, and I'm like, oh, that is my mistake. I called in the patient. I told the patient, unfortunately, your insurance covered 50%. Therefore, you are responsible for the other $1,000. Luckily, we do have financing available, so we did an application. Patient qualified, and they only had to pay $60 a month. But that was one big mistake that could have cost the office $1,000. So that was an important lesson I learned. Since then, I have developed a habit of double-checking insurance information, constantly documenting, leaving my notes for the other. Let's say I don't go and work the next day, leaving the documentation as it should be as soon as I get off that call from that patient, or as soon as I get a call from the insurance, calling the patient, informing them before their appointment, before they come in. That way they are not surprised the day of their appointment, or then at that moment we're about to bring them in, like they have to pay $1,000. Overall, my mistakes did show me accountability, attention to detail, making sure everything is on spot, and that made me those mistakes made me better in my job. how do you deal with conflict? So I believe I'm very, very great at conflict. In fact, it's a normal part of my workplace because there are different people, perspectives, communication styles. When conflict occurs, I try to remain calm, professional, and focus on finding the solution rather assigning the blame. For example, in the dental office, we have a lot of patients upset because of either the wait, their the payments. They expected their insurance to pay more. Unfortunately, the insurance did not pay what they were supposed to pay. A patient feels like they needed to be accommodated quickly, while the clinical team felt that the schedule was becoming overloaded and affecting patient care. So now at that moment, I have two conflicts. I have overstaffing conflict with understaffing conflict with my staff, and then I have overflow of patients that want to come in as quickly as possible due to pain issues that they're having, right? Obviously, when a patient is in pain, they're not in the best mood. So I am very good at resolving the conflict. So to resolve the conflict, my first step is to listen to both sides of individuals without interrupting. I wanted to get the full understanding of their perspective, their concerns, how they felt, and making sure that their feelings are valid every time. Secondly, I brought to the team members the encouragement, respectful communication, asking everyone to focus on the fact solution rather their emotions and personal frustrations. And then thirdly, we review the scheduling process together, identify where the communication breakdowns were often occurring when we realize appointment links are not always communicated clearly between departments. And fourthly, we developed a new process that includes better communication regarding treatment times, scheduling expectations, everyone agreeing on one plan, making sure this patient is going to get here at this time. We need to make sure the patient is set up already in the room. We get consent forms, we bring them in, having a system set up. That way we don't have angry patients coming up to us. Why is it taking so long? I already paid you $1,000 and you still haven't brought me in. Those experiences reinforce my belief that most workplaces have conflicts to resolve through active listening, clear communication, mutual respect, and willingness to work together towards the common goal, because the common goal is always to execute the patient and get the patient out of the office as soon as possible, get them happy and out of pain.